Hi gardeners, it's Sonia from Farm to Fayetteville in Arizona, Zone 9B. This video is about growing in grow bags. I went to my favorite place in Arizona, the Arizona Worm Farm, and took a hands-on class from the experts themselves.
Thank you. That's Chelsea, by the way. She's here to help you guys fill your bags and also answer questions. So just holler at me or her if you need something, or if you can't hear, she'll be happy to help you in the back, okay? So grow bags are a great way to introduce more space to the garden. So if this is your very first time ever using one, it's just a fantastic way to allow more space for maybe say your herbs and your flowers and pollinator attractors that you have always wanted to grow but ran out of space in your 4x8 bed. Or if this is your very first time even growing, it's just a fabulous way to just get going. You got to start somewhere, you know. With grow bags, I will say that I have learned that they are a little tricky in making sure that they stay moist, especially in the hot season. And I'm sure you guys all have lived here longer than a season to know that we have more hot months in Phoenix than we do cool months. We are moving into a really nice season. However, with that being said, I want you guys to just be careful of making sure that your grow bags don't dry out. They have the ability to breathe right through this fabric. They can just really receive a lot of oxygen. So it's our job as the gardener to make sure that we're giving them sufficient amount of hydration to keep our plants from getting droopy. And also the other thing with them that's really important is making sure that it's in a semi-permanent location, because with plants, they don't like to be moved around. They can be moved around sometimes, very periodically, but not every day. You don't want to think, oh, well, it's getting too much sun here, and then it's not, you know, I want to put it in the shade and move it to there. What will happen is you're going to trick your plant into thinking it needs to keep acclimating to its new environment. So just because it has handles on it doesn't mean you should move it every single day. Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody know what acclimating is? Acclimating is when the plant goes through an adjustment period of getting used to its new environment. So we want to think of a semi-permanent location. I like to put mine on something where they can kind of drip out too, to avoid the sogginess at the bottom of it. So maybe like on an elevated little plant stand, or even a pallet. Pallets work fabulous for this if you got pallets laying around. We happen to have a big stack of them out there for free, so grab yourself one on the way out. You can put them on a pallet, and then that way it lifts them up off the ground, allows that extra dripping to occur without it destroying your patio, or you know, your back of your backyard, wherever you're going to put this. But don't put them in full sun. If you put them in full sun, even in the cool months, they're going to dry out too fast and you won't have the proper growth that you're looking for. We really want to slow things down a little bit so that they're not ripening too fast and growing too fast in the full sun. So morning sun is ideal. If you have eastern facing, you know, location, perfect, but you definitely want them to be morning sun, afternoon shade by say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. If you want to put up a shade screen, you can. If you already have a structure like this is a 50% shade screen, so just don't go any darker than 50% and you'll be golden. You could leave that up for them year round. You wouldn't have to fuss bringing it down. If you want to build a semi-permanent shade structure, if you're going to incorporate a raised bed one day, you may want to think about something like that to install. Just make sure that it's strong enough to withstand our monsoon winds. You guys all been through a monsoon season? Yeah, we're finally getting some rain this year, huh? It's kind of awesome. Yeah. Yeah, last year was just haboob, one after another, right? A bunch of dust knocking around, and then we got some rain in the spring, but not during monsoon season. So monsoon season happens to be my favorite time to start planting tomatoes, and a succession round on all of your summertime veggies that you maybe didn't have luck with in the summer because it gets so darn hot. What happens when it's over 100 degrees? Your tomato plants, your nightshades, everything in the pepper family, eggplants, they all just don't want to produce. They're more focused on staying alive than producing when it's over 100. Here comes the trickles. I'm going to keep on talking, but if you guys get uncomfortable, just holler and we'll move you, okay? All right, so right now you can put in some new tomatoes if you want to. I offer you today a tomato plant, which is a celebrity tomato. It's a semi-determinate tomato, so it's perfect for a grow bag. In addition to a celebrity tomato, I'm going to offer you a serrano pepper. You'll be harvesting peppers in the next 4 weeks. After that, we've got broccoli. This is a type of young broccoli. It's known as a broccolini. It should be harvested when it's young. Baby broccoli is another cute word for it, right? The reason I offered that one for you is because it's a really quick maturity rate. And when you're choosing what to plant in your grow bags, it's very important to make sure that you choose 90 days or less for maturity. You don't want to plant something in here that takes a 6-month period to develop because it's just not a good source for it. You want something that's going to be, from the day I planted, I'm eating it in 2 months, or 3 at the most if you're really pushing it. So 90 days or less. You guys all recognize this one?
Yep.
What is it?
Marigold.
Marigold, all right. You'd be surprised how many people don't know what this is. This is one of my favorite natural deterrents I like to give away in my classes because it has a couple purposes in the garden. It's going to deter pests, so all of your harmful insects, right? Squash bugs, aphids, whiteflies, all the stuff that really annoys us. These, the more you have growing around your vegetables, the more protected they become. So you want to get in the habit of planting these in areas where you might think that plants are susceptible to insects. I'm going to teach you how to save seed on this so you don't have to keep coming back and buying them from me. You want to save your seed and you just replant them after the plant has spent. The more you deadhead your marigolds, the more flowers will produce. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. And then I'm sure you'll recognize this one. Yep, you got it. The reason I gave you basil is because, same thing, works as a natural deterrent and it's going to attract your pollinators and when it's blooming. In addition to that, it enhances the flavor of your fruit on the tomato plant. So I want you to put this one in the grow bag that you choose to plant your tomato in, right next to it. It'll protect it from hornworm caterpillars and it's going to make that fruit taste better. You guys like margarita pizza? Yeah? So that's why anything that tastes good together on a plate is a good companion in your grow bag. All right, let's get these bags filled up. We know where to put them. We know we're not supposed to move them around a lot, right? So you're going to pick a semi-permanent location when getting this home. If you need to move it once or twice, cool. Just don't move it once a week though, okay? And then we're going to water them thoroughly each morning. And I'll show you the proper amount of water that they need. You just want to water it until it weeps out on the sides. Not overflowing though, just weeping out on the side a little bit right here is when you know that you've watered it enough. As it cools down and our soil temperature lowers and lowers, we'll use less water. So that means we can maybe start watering every other day, but that's probably not going to happen until November. So right now, while these plants are acclimating, they're adjusting, they're developing their roots, you're going to keep them nice and moist by watering once in the morning. All right, you guys ready to fill them up? The 10-gallon bag. What I'm going to explain to you right now is a really important step that I don't want you to forget when doing this next season after you want to plant again in these bags. The bottom reservoir should be mulch. Mulch is ideal in making sure that we don't get root rot in these bags. You guys ever got your feet wet for too long a period and your toes get a little wrinkly and gross? Same thing happens to your vegetable roots if they stay wet too long. They like to have oxygen in between. So mulch, 2 to 3. The next layer is raised bed mix. Our raised bed mix contains 50% compost. It has the worm castings in there, which is your food, your fertilizer. It also has perlite, cocoa coir, and basalt rock dust. So a perfect blend of all the amendments that you need. Once you've got it filled up with your soil, the big bag is best to be used by your nightshades, and the reason why is because those ones require a really deep root space in order to provide the yield that you're looking for. So they like, 6 to 12 inches at a minimum. Put your tomato and your pepper in here. You're going to get your trowel.
They like in the
If we
middle
have
of
one.
it, or?
Or grab one of those trowels up there. Get that trowel in there and go deep. Tomato and a companion, then put the tomato right in the smack in the center. Okay? So if you guys want to come up and see how deep, or you're just going until you hit your mulch layer, then you know you're deep enough. That's how deep you want to go. Really deep. Go ahead and pull it out of the nursery container. Make sure that your roots aren't compacted. Make sure they're not they're not root bound. If they're root bound, you're going to pull those apart. This encourages them to spread through the soil evenly. So just like that is how it should look when you put it into the soil bag. Okay. Going to pop that in there. Push the soil around it firmly. Make sure you remove any air pockets that could be residing in there. Just really firm, guys. Remove any air pockets, just like that. Nice and firm. Now, if you're choosing to do a pepper next to it, we're going to go immediately across from it, hoping that that's about a 12-inch space. It looks like we're really pushing it. It might be 11 and a half. Right here is good. This does not have to be as deep as your tomato. Again, we're looking for compacted roots. If we're good, and that one looks nice and loose, then we're just going to go ahead and pop it right in. Directly across from the pepper plant. Nice and firm, nice and firm. Now our companion, basil, can be planted in the middle. And it's going to protect both of those plants and enhance the flavor of our fruits on both of those plants. If you had two, which I happen to have two in mine, did you guys get two in yours? You're gonna do that. Now you have two plants. They should be separated so that they can both grow to their mature size, and you can put them they can be planted a little more close together than the two nightshades. So about a 3 to 4 inch spacing on your bases. You're planting a heavy feeder today. Does anybody remember which one's the heavy feeder?
Tomatoes.
The tomatoes, yeah. They're just hungry little plants. They just really like extra nutrition. So in about a month or so, you start to notice that your fruit's developing. It's a fantastic time to come back and feed it some more castings. Worm castings will feed this plant to give it the nutrients that it needs to push out lots of fruit for you before winter. So if you're looking to, harvest some good tomatoes for salsa, the more worm castings that you give it regularly every 4 to 6 weeks, the more fruit you're going to have. So 4 to 6 weeks, you're coming back and you're getting more worm castings. In addition to that, this stuff is really awesome. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. We make this here at the worm farm, but I'm telling you what, this is the best tomato plant that I've ever used. The tomato food, I'm sorry. What we did was we wanted to become more sustainable and stop using fish emulsion, fish hydrolysate. We're already breeding our black soldier fly larvae to feed the chickens. The black soldier flies create the larvae, which then we ground up and use as a calcium and nutrient source for the hydrolysate instead of fish. So this is basically a fish emulsion replaced with our black soldier flies. This can be fed to your tomato plants, your pepper plants, and anything that you want to yield more on. Even roses. If you want to have your roses become brighter and live stronger, this is a great food for them. This does need to be diluted at a 1:5 ratio, and I have that instructions for you right here on the back. So every 4 to 6 weeks on this too. You'll just, instead of watering that day, you'll put it in your water can. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And if you've never used this before, hold your breath because it does have a smell. In 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to fertilize them by just filling it up thoroughly from side to side. So you're skipping water if it's moist. If it's really dry though, I would give it a drink of water first, then fertilize it. But if it's still moist from the last time you watered, you're just using this as your water that day. Does that make sense? Every 4 to 6 weeks. Now you can take one of these jugs home with you today. This one has a long storage life versus the worm tea has to be used really quickly, right? In 4 hours. This one you can store in your garden storage for 6 to 12 months. And this will last all season long because you're only going to use a quarter of it each time you feed. Now, if you didn't hear me say this, these grow bags are perfect for upside down tomato cages. So get yourself a tomato cage. You can also probably get that on Amazon. But the cone shape is what you're going for instead of the old school way that you're used to. The circle of the tomato cage will go down and then it's going to go up like a pyramid, yeah? Your pepper and your tomato can grow up that pyramid, and then you'll use some tie tape to keep it on there so it doesn't fall off. You're going to go about an inch or two away from the plant. Force it in there for support. But don't poke a hole at the bottom of the bag. And then you'll simply just keep this supported. And this Velcro tomato tape happens to be made by a tomato grower for tomatoes. They are recyclable, they are adjustable, and they Velcro so you don't have to fuss with tying it. Then you're going to simply keep that supported on your stake, just like this. As the flowers appear, all the foliage below the flowers should be pruned back. It's going to direct energy into fruit development, so then you'll have fruit faster. Grow bags need a little more nutrients. Anytime you're growing in a container, every time we water, the nutrients deplete when they come out the drains, versus in the ground, it stays, the microbes just build and build and build. In a container, every time you water, a little tad bit of those nutrients leaves. So we got to get it back in there. So in December, when you want to grow some new things in there, you can maybe grow like whatever you want really. Lettuces, spinach, Swiss chard, get crazy. All your leafy vegetables love to be planted in December after the tomato's done. You're going to get some raised bed mix and fill it right back up the same way you did today. It won't all be gone, but it'll definitely have dropped a few inches. So you're going to top it back off with some fresh soil. We'll have lots of veggie starts out there that are ready and safe to plant in December. And go ahead and do it again. And use it over and over and over again. Watering once in the morning is ideal. If you forget to water in the morning, then wait until the soil temperature cools down and water in the evening. Evening or morning is best. We never want them to dry out for too long a period. So we're watering once in the morning. Hopefully that sustains moisture for a full 24 to 48 hours. In December, if and when it gets cold on us, you might be watering every 3 days. The best rule of thumb is get your finger in that soil. It's okay? Just like this. All the way down. If your fingernail comes out moist, you know that you gave it enough water that morning. If it's dry, you probably should give it a little more. And the rule of thumb with these guys too, it's real easy. They tell you when they've gotten enough water because it weeps out on the sides here. It looks like it's crying a little bit. And then you know you've watered it all the way down. What we want to avoid though is filling this up to where it's just saturated down here with water. If it's still wet from yesterday, give it the whole soil test. If it's still wet from yesterday, then skip that day. Wait 1 day and water the next day. Because if we keep watering it blindly and just thinking it always needs water, 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 what do we think is going to happen down here? Rot. Even with that reservoir of mulch. I put that there to be preventative, but anything sitting in water too long a period is never fun. It's going to become anaerobic. So if you still can't tell with your finger if it needs water, give it the old lift test. If it feels real soggy and real wet and you hear it, especially if you can hear it, that's no bueno. Or if it drips when you pick it up, right? You're probably good on water that day. Yeah? Is that all understandable? Okay. All right. What questions can I answer?
Okay, if you're using Oyas, once you get your plants established, can you just water using the Oya?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Oyas are fantastic for grow bags. Yes. You're going to put it in the center and then you'll plant around them. Yes. Does anybody know what an Oya is other than her?
No.
A couple of you. Okay. So it's like a terracotta type of device that holds water, and it slow releases the water as needed. When the soil gets dry, it will release water naturally under the ground. Kind of cool. You can get them online. I think most garden centers sell them too, but kind of fun for a grow bag. Yes.
You guys said this at the beginning, but does it matter what you put your bag on?
Yes and no. So I like to have mine elevated because it gives me, I'm a very visual gardener. I like to see what's going on. If you put it in the ground, say with right here on the ground with mulch around it, I can't see what's happening below. If you put it on a pallet, or if you put it on a, those little plant stands that have little legs, then you can see what's happening right below it. It will prevent you from overwatering. It will also help you observe if something's wrong at the bottom. So I would elevate it. That's what I would do. But if you don't want to elevate it and you want to put them maybe around your raised bed, just make sure that you pick it up from time to time and turn it, just like that. Rotation is key also in making sure that these plants develop strongly. If you have the plants leaning really, really, really hard this way to find sun, and they start to get real leggy, give it an old turn every now and then. Once a week, give it a turn. That will straighten it back out. So now it will start to become stronger and thicker instead of getting leggy and skinny. That's the cool thing about grow bags versus a raised bed. Nobody can turn a raised bed around when it needs it, right? So grow bags can be rotated, but not moved to new locations that often, only periodically if needed. So say in December when it's much colder and you want your plants to get a little more sun because the days shorten as the temperature changes, then that would be an ideal time to go ahead and move it. Now to a new location where it's still receiving the 6 hours of morning light, but don't move it once a week to a new spot in the backyard. Figure out where you want it and leave it there. What are we doing when we first get home?
Water.
Okay, very important to water. I don't want you to water it now because why? It's going to get soggy into your car. So when you get home, we're going to give it a good drink of water until we see what?
Crying.
Got it. Yeah, until it weeps out the sides. Then, while plants are acclimated, if you guys didn't know this goes for everything no matter what location you're in. It takes them about 3 to 4 weeks to acclimate to get used to their new environment. They're really needy. They like to stay wet during acclimation. So don't let it dry all the way out. Make sure you water it again tomorrow morning, especially if it's in the sun. If it's getting the 6 hours of morning sun that you're supposed to give it, it might need water again tomorrow morning. But avoid that sogginess. We don't want that excess moisture residing down there. We want to make sure that we water it after it dries out. If that takes 24 hours, cool. If it takes 48 hours, then wait 2 days, but just stick your finger in there, get in the habit of making sure you feel what the soil feels like. You never want to assume that it's okay. Marigolds, ooh, I almost forgot this part. This is important. Okay, when your marigolds dry up, they look like this. The petals become crunchy and their color starts to fade. You're going to pinch that off. This is called deadheading. The more you deadhead your marigolds the more they're going to continue blooming for you. So get in the habit of deadheading and pinching your suckers once a week. You're going to now open that up. And look at all those. What are those?
Seeds.
Yeah, look. That's like 47 seeds. You shouldn't have to buy marigolds from me ever again, but I'll keep selling them to you. But here's the thing. If you let these dry out, put them on a burlap or a paper towel, yeah, for a week, that's going to absorb any excess moisture. Then you're safe to put them in a mason jar or a envelope. This is my favorite way to store them. And then you can just replant them whenever you need marigold in your life. You guys, and I didn't talk about seeds in general. If you want to plant seeds in here, you can. If you want to go home and add some more seeds to it, cilantro, if you're looking forward to cilantro this season, put some seeds in there. Direct sow your seed around the side. If you want to do radishes, they should be directly sown by seed. They should never be transplanted. They need to be directly sown by seed. So if you want to throw some radishes in there, go for it. Anything in the root vegetable family should always be directly sown by seed. So if you feel like my tomato plant's getting real tall, it's skinny, it's not really taking up that much room, and I want to pop in some radishes below it, you absolutely can. Directly sow those. Never transplant a root vegetable.
But you said like even the seeds that you buy in packages, are those only good for like 12 to 14 months?
That is a very true statement, yes. A lot of us are mistakenly thinking that sometimes our seeds last forever. That is not the case. After a 12-month period, if you guys didn't know this, your public library usually provides free seeds for you. But those free seeds were donated by a garden center, and it's awesome. But the thing is that they're old, so just double seed. So instead of planting one seed per hole, you're going to do 2 seeds to increase germination. And
What
yeah,
if
go
they're
check.
3 years old? Is it then?
The 3 years, and then after 4 years, you're really pushing it. You'll probably see 0 germination,
Okay.
but worth a shot, you know. And green beans, stuff like that, legumes, anything in the legume family, they all do fabulous in your grow bags. You'll grow them the same exact way that you grow your tomato, on a cage upside down, to give them the support that they need. And they like to be soaked a little bit to increase germination. So if you want to do some snap peas after these have all been harvested in a few months, snap peas love the cold, by the way. December is a fabulous time to replant them, to plant them after you've harvested one of these. Try it by seed and try it by transplant. Tons of transplants out there, but if you guys want to see what the difference is and directly sow them by seed, you should. Any other questions?
I have a question. So, if we were to get worms, can we put some of the worms in here, or do you prefer to do it in like a raised bed?
Yeah, so raised bed for sure versus a grow bag. Honestly, they're gonna feel that they're in a grow bag and try to get out. So they'll just, right, they'll crawl right out. So let's not put them in the grow bags. Unfortunately, it's not a good scenario for them. They don't like to be in a container setting. In a vermi bin inside of a raised bed is a fabulous way to incorporate your worm. You're at the worm farm. Let's get dirty.